Happy New Year everyone! We have 2-player remakes, exciting game lines being extended, and a new city revealed. Hello, I'm Matthew here, Watch It Played, and this is your board game news. We start off with 2 new titles being announced by Garfield Games, Scarabray and The Anarchy, both of which will be 1 to 4 players and will be out next year. Around 5,000 years ago, a resilient group of farmers and hunters built a thriving community on the Orkney Islands of northern Scotland, and rather than discarding their empty shells, broken tools, bones and other waste, they've used them to form large mounds of earth over hundreds of years, and later generations dug into these midden piles to create a series of rooms and tunnels to shelter from the harsh winds and cold winter months. And so the aim of Scarabray is to gather various resources in order to feed, clothe and shelter your growing number of settlers as you take turns drafting cars and using your workers to furnish, cook, craft, clean and trade and dodge and duck and dive. And of course, at the end of each round you'll need to clear up the rubbish that you've left behind. I love the setting for this one. It's unique, historical, and yeah, I'm excited to learn more about how the drafting and the worker placement part of this actually works. In The Anarchy, on the other hand, it's the end of 1135. Henry I, King of England, has died unexpectedly, leaving no male heir to reign in his stead. Side note, cause of death was apparently eating too much fish, so there's something new to worry about. Henry's daughter, the Empress Matilda, thought she'd rule by succession, but the late king's favourite nephew, Stephen de Blois, was quicker to the throne with the help of his brother, the Bishop of Winchester. Him again. He was crowned king. Needless to say, the next 18 years saw enough unrest in England for it to get its own name, The Anarchy. In the game, The Anarchy, players take on the roles of English nobles loyal to King Stephen and must build their domain, defend their castle from attacks by the approaching Angevin armies, and storm strongholds loyal to Matilda with their own crafted siege weapons. The player who can accumulate the most bravery, loyalty, influence and might while avoiding discontent will prove to King Stephen that they are his most loyal ally, thereby earning him the largest earldom. This one looks to be in the same line or even a sequel to Hadrian's Wall, which was a resource and right style game that had you combo your abilities as much as you can to get every point you could from the resources you have. And I'm very excited for a new challenge in that style. This week the news is brought to us by you. We have a Patreon that you can join up to, which goes to support the channel and everything we make here on Watch It Played. There are loads of bonus videos and other extra content, as well as a Discord for you to join. If you want to support us there, then we'd love to have you, and the link is in the video description below. In a rather surprise announcement from Gameling Games, we have a tiny epic Game of Thrones coming for 1 to 4 players and launching on Kickstarter soon. We are told to prepare to navigate the perilous world of Westeros, where alliances are fragile, betrayals are common, and the fate of your house hangs in the balance, rather like how it is here at Watch It Played. So players will take the roles of the mighty houses of the 7 kingdoms, each vying for power, influence and control, of course, of the Iron Throne. The game uses a limited action dice mechanism which you'll use to strategically choose actions such as plotting and whispering, very underused actions, whispering, events, marching and sailing, and you'll have the option to follow other players' actions to keep you active on every turn. There's also one of my favourite things in a game, which is a hand of multi-use cards for you to use that will allow you to plot against the houses of Westeros, orchestrate grandiose events and partake in some good old-fashioned battles. This came as a surprise as the first modern licensed game like this in the Tiny Epic line of games, and I'm really interested to see where this might lead us in the future as well. Catan New Energies was announced by Catan Studios, a new 3 to 4 player Catan. That's not something we get to say very often. And it's the 21st century, right? And Catan is at the crossroads of its world. Long gone is the agrarian society of the island's Viking ancestors. Were they Vikings in Catan? I'm just finding this out. Today's Catanians need energy to keep society moving and growing, but pollution is wreaking havoc on the island. and we are told that we must decide to either invest in clean energy resources or opt for cheaper fossil fuels, potentially causing disastrous effects for the island. But will I make more profit? That's the question, right? So Catan New Energies is a new standalone game with the classic harvesting, trading and building, but with new gameplay elements including power plants, energy tokens and environmental events. And I tell you what, I'm excited about this, which is, like everything on this list, coming at some point soon this year. A brand new 2-player version of the hugely popular Kenner Spiel des Jahres winning Quacks of Quedlinburg was announced. The Quacks of Quedlinburg, the duel. You and a friend, or I suppose enemy, are playing as 2 quacks who are vying for the role of guildmaster in the medieval marketplace of Quedlinburg, and of course you'll need to demonstrate your knowledge and skill in order to lure patients with magical potions that promise healing. My guess, for points. Also, they probably don't work. This dual version uses a bag building system similar to the original, as each round you draw ingredients from your bag and attempt to brew magical potions. Well, I'm trying to avoid getting too many snap peas, as they'll cause an explosion. But depending on the potion, you have options such as moving the active patient closer to you in your market store, purchasing new ingredients, or gaining effects. Doesn't say they're positive effects, does it? It says they're effects. Anything could happen. There are 11 patients to treat, and the game ends after someone treats their 6th or after the 7th round, and I'm excited for this one. It's a 2-player tug-of-war style bag building duel, and it's be out later this year. Also coming from Schmidt, we have The Lord of the Rings, The Ring Bearer. What piqued my interest here was that it's from Carcassonne designer Klaus-Jürgen Werder. Ring to enslave them, to find them all, to drift into the dark and bind forever is the tagline for this, which I'm now that's probably from Lord of the Rings, isn't it? Well, this is a co-op game where you'll take the roles of Frodo and friends as you take on the legendary journey to Mordor to, of course, destroy the ring and save the world. Players will move across the different landscape tiles, starting in the Shire and fleeing from the constant threat of the Black Riders and the Nazgul. There's apparently an actual ring to wear for the ring bearer. And something very interesting is that the cards in your hand are partly visible to you and partly visible only to the other players, as other players can play cards from your hand. Now, each round, Sauron's power is strengthened and the Black Riders move forward. If they catch the companions, the game is lost. And, I love this, if the 5th card of Sauron is placed in front of the ring bearer, they fall under the dark powers and become Sauron's assistant, playing against their companions. There's a twist. Oh, this one looks like it's got some really interesting twists and turns. And I'm looking forward to playing it when it's out. Of course, again, sometime later this year. Modifius have told us all to get ready to dive back into the world of Fallout 4 with their announcement of Fallout Factions Nuka World, a new skirmish war game in which 2 players have enemy factions vying for power as they battle over territory to strengthen the raiders and take control of Nuka World. Having previously released Fallout Wasteland Warfare, they are revisiting this hugely popular franchise with Nuka World, which uses a standard 10-sided dice system, which they are calling a streamlined resolution system, making a war game that is really aimed for newcomers and those of us who want to set up a skirmish game on the fly. There are going to be 3 raider gangs, the Operators, the Pack and the Disciples, using 32mm scale miniatures that are compatible with Fallout Wasteland Warfare, and this one will be releasing sometime this year. Sorry We Are French have a sequel to In the Footsteps of Darwin with In the Footsteps of Marie Curie. In this family game, we'll be entering Marie Curie's laboratory and hopefully helping her as she goes on to win a double Nobel Prize. The game features resource management and transformation mechanisms and resource distribution. It's all done through a cube tower. You have to love a cube tower. I'm excited about that. But too much or too few resources being reduced will bring what they're calling surprises. But my guess is that they are actually, in fact, consequences. This looks to be a very different game to the previous In the Footsteps of Darwin, so I'm looking forward to finding out more when it's out later this year. A brand new expansion to Gaia Project was announced by Feuerland Spiel. Gaia Project The Lost Fleet There's no description for this available, but there was a list of bullet points which let us know to expect 4 new factions for the game: the Darkanians, Maoyid, I think, Space Giants and Tinkeroids, which all correspond to 2 new planet types, protoplanets and asteroids. There's going to be new action spaces and technologies on a new game board, as well as new advanced techs, round boosters and round scoring opportunities, as well as a host of other tweaks and changes to look forward to. Kathmandu was announced by Queen Games as a brand new Stefan Feld game coming to their Cities line of games. Kathmandu is likely to be on Kickstarter in February. I've used the word likely there. Could have said allegedly. I read it on Board Game Geek. But either way, in this 2 to 4 player game, you'll be taking on the role of an expedition to discover the diverse landscape of Nepal with its temples, cities, and finally, of course, Kathmandu. Traversing land is often tricky and requires good planning and the right tools and a little bit of luck, all while you sketch the illustrations of animals that you discover, trade with the cities and the local goods, and visit the many temples to pay your respects along the way. We're told that Kathmandu is played in rounds in which each player uses 3 of their 5 dice to gain resources and move around the landscape boards. The goal is visiting Kathmandu, but along the way, players unsurprisingly will be gaining points in a bunch of different ways. But you'll need to be efficient on your turns and try not to waste too much time, as a storm is coming, which you'll need to always be in front of, as to not lose sight of Kathmandu, a place that you'll want to reach before the game ends, again probably to get a bunch of points. I'm unreasonably excited about this one. It's a straight up new game in the line with racing elements and dice to use, so I can't wait to see what else it has in store. And to find out what else we have in store, master of segues, you can continue your journey with us here. Thank you so much for watching, and once again, have a great start to your new year. And I'll see you soon. Bye.